Chapter 11. We call her Jelly Bean. Yeah, so Jessica Chilton, that's me, obviously. Anyways, everyone calls me Chili because I hate the name Jessica. It's better than my sister, I guess, because we call her Jelly Bean. I've heard really great things about you guys, the whole family vibe and all that. I've been a lot of places where it's not really like that. So, yeah, here I am. The woman rambled as she stood in front of everyone during their morning briefing. She seemed nervous, with good reason. Chief Bowden cleared his throat. Thank you, Chili. He spoke, walking up to stand next to the curly-haired woman. Chili is going to be our new paramedic in charge on Ambulance 61. Everybody please make her feel welcome. Peter Mills ended up being told he wouldn't get a spot on squad, which led him to decide to leave the CFD. He missed his family, and after speaking with them, he figured it might be better for him. And so he decided to leave to be with his family in North Carolina, where they would build themselves a new family restaurant. It pained everyone at Firehouse 51 to lose him. After all, he was family. Welcome, they mumbled, mildly applauding as they made her feel welcome as best as they could, considering she was basically replacing someone they considered a brother. Chili, Connie in the bullpen. She handles all the paperwork. Please check in with her, Bowden told her. Okay, cool. Thanks for taking me on, Chief. We're lucky to have you, the man answered, waiting until Chili was out of the room to speak again in a low and serious tone. Okay, everybody, listen up. Here at 51, we are together 24 hours of the day, and we are indeed a family, and we have been very fortunate not to have much turnover. So I'm going to say this with the utmost respect. Get over it. Mills was here for 3 years, Chief. You can't expect us to just flip a switch and get over it, Otis said. And I have been here for 22 years, Otis. Now my orders are, welcome in the new pick. Any one of you have a problem with that, you come in my office. If you have a legitimate reason, we will discuss it. Other than that, you stop looking like somebody just pissed in your coffee. Chief Bowden exclaimed, loud and clear for everyone. He was making it very clear that he wouldn't accept anything else than what he was asking. You're right, Chief. It's taken care of, Casey said, leaning against the back wall of the room. We got it, Chief. Our bad, Severide added, agreeing with Casey and Bowden. They were luckily dismissed from the meeting by the alarm blaring through the building. Truck 81, Squad 3, Ambulance 61, Structure Fire, Wabash and Silver Hill. Super nice to meet you, Emerson said as she walked out on the apparatus floor with Chili. Oh yeah, nice to meet you too. So you're the pick? Emerson made sure. Yeah, but I'm totally chill. Some people are really neurotic about how they pack the jump bag or whatever, but not me. Cool, she answered with a smile on her face as they got inside the truck. Sorry if that was a little frosty back there. She buckled up her seatbelt, getting ready to drive off to the call. They're just honoring their friend. Chili shrugged it off, tucking a knee towards her chest to sit comfortably in her seat. The firefighters quickly took over the search and rescue before knocking down the fire as Chili and Emerson stayed close by, ready to check on any victim they might bring out. As they were checking out the owner of the house, they heard Casey's voice over the radio. Coming out now, along with a badly burned female. She needs immediate transport. Copy that, Bowden responded, making sure the paramedics heard. 61 to Maine, we need a second ambo. Emerson called on her own radio, keeping her eyes trailed towards the house to be ready for the woman. Go ahead, I'll watch him. Gabby spoke up, letting the paramedics know she'd stay with the man so they could leave as soon as the woman was brought out. Name's Billy Carson. Emerson let her know as the two paramedics grabbed their things and headed towards the entrance of the house. Her airways swelling from the burns. We need to intubate now, Chili stated as the woman started making choking sounds. She already has IO access in the shoulder. Emerson let the pick know, grabbing her everything she needed to intubate. She needs more fluids, and she's not burned there, Chili said, getting the line going through her jugular. Come on, sweetie. She then proceeded to intubate her as Emerson started bagging her so she could know if the intubation was in properly. We're in. Okay. Emerson helped her roll the gurney in the ambulance, rushing towards Chicago Med immediately. Third-degree burns and severe smoke inhalation. The paramedic called as soon as they walked into Chicago Med, the nurses and doctors rushing their way. Get her prepped for the burn unit. A nurse called, helping them get the woman to a bed in the ER where they could take over for the paramedics. On three, 1, 2, 3. They switched her to a bed, freeing the gurney for the paramedics. Emerson was filling up the paperwork as Chili walked up to her, rubbing her hands with sanitizer. She let out a deep breath. Oh, heck of a first day, huh? Yeah. Hey, great call on the second IV to the jugular, Emerson commented. She was very impressed by the PSC. She'd never seen anyone do it before, and she had to admit that it was very quick thinking. Oh, yeah, it's a go-to move on the west side, Chili told her, leaning against the desk. Lots of trauma over there? Yeah, it's nonstop. It's just burning, shooting, looting. She trailed off, completely detached, like she truly was used to it. Wild, wild west. Emerson chuckled as her partner laughed, agreeing with her words. Yeah. Emerson stood in the kitchen with a cup of hot water in hand, watching Otis get jokingly told off by Lieutenant Casey. She laughed as she watched them walk off towards the bunk room, turning around. As she did so, her eyes fell on the baby blue ones she'd gotten to know pretty well in the past couple of months. Hey, Jay, she called out, smiling as he approached her. Hey, Emerson, you got a minute? He asked her directly, and she could tell by his expression and tone that it was a serious matter. Yeah, everything okay? Emerson questioned immediately, worried about what could have possibly made him come by. A guy got pulled out of a fire this morning, Billy Carson. Jay stated, not giving out much else. Yeah, what about him? Did you talk to him at all? He questioned, making Emerson's eyebrows furrow, confused as to where he was going with it. No, actually, I treated him, but he didn't talk to me much through all the coughing. She said, trying to recall any detail from the fire. But let me take you to Gabby. She stayed with him while we transported the woman. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. Jay thanked her with a smile, following her to the apparatus floor where they found Gabby doing inventory on Truck 81. Hey, Gabby, your old flame's here for some questions, Emerson joked, making Gabby turn around way too quickly as Jay playfully nudged her ribs. She laughed at her own joke and at their reactions, watching them greet each other. Billy Carson, did you get to speak to him this morning? Jay went straight to the point. A flash of confusion coming over Gabby's features, but she recovered quickly. Yeah, a little. He said he was out to buy a new video game, and when he got back, the place was on fire. I found him on the stairs, passed out from the smoke. His story? You buy it? Jay asked, focusing on Gabby instead of on Emerson, who just stood by and looked between the two as they spoke. Yeah. Why? Gabby asked, unsure if she truly wanted to know. Jay sighed heavily, shifting slightly as if he felt uncomfortable. When they admitted the upstairs neighbor into the burn unit at Chicago Med, they found... He paused for a few seconds, trying to figure out the best way to say it, only to figure out that there was no good way to say it. Before she got burned up, somebody raped her and left her for dead. Their breaths got caught in their throat, and Emerson bit her lips after taking a deep inhale. Gabby mumbled out an "oh my God" as Emerson stayed quiet, her heart feeling heavy from the news. Jay asked them to call him if anything else came to mind, and he thanked Gabby for helping out. He pressed his hand against Emerson's shoulder, lightly squeezing before biting her goodbye and walking out of the firehouse. Her eyes followed his every move up until she couldn't see him anymore. Gabby keeping a close eye on the interaction with a smirk on her lips. Guys, check this out, Mouch called as he rolled a trolley in with a few boxes on it. Hey, what do we got here? Herman exclaimed, looking from his seat at the table. Mystery. Where from? Cruz asked, just as confused as everyone else. Doesn't say. Well, who's it addressed to? Otis questioned Mouch, who didn't seem to know much about the mystery box. Just says 51. Well, you gonna open it? Well, as union rep, it seems I should do the honors, Mouch said, taking out his pocket knife. Sure, Otis agreed, all of them focused on the boxes as he cut them open. It was so quiet in the room, they could hear a fly. They gasped as Cruz took off the top of the box, revealing a few well-packaged boxes of desserts. Good Lord, Mouch gasped, grabbing one of them. Blueberry crumble. Wow! Emerson let out as Cruz put it on the table next to her, her eyes following the box. Cruz opened it, and she could swear she wasn't hungry just a few seconds earlier. Sweet potato. Mouch passed on another box, gasps and mumbles of appreciation being heard in the room as Chili walked in and sat next to Emerson. Apple crisp. Mouch finished as Emerson took a deep inhale of the sweet potato pie, more than ready to stick a fork in it and eat it all to herself. Mouch reached for a letter that he dug out of the box, reading it quickly before passing it to Otis. "What's it say?" Cruz asked, noticing Otis's face falling. "It." Mouch stuttered as Otis passed it to Cruz for him to read instead. "To my 51 family, we'll go toe-to-toe with Dinkles any day of the week. Don't let Mouch bogart the blueberry crumble. Love, Mills." Cruz read out loud, making Emerson laugh at Mouch. "Still can't believe he did it," Otis muttered, passing Emerson a picture of Mills and his family in front of their new restaurant. She looked at him with a sad yet proud smile on her face, happy that Mills found what he really wanted to do in life. Even though his dream was to be a firefighter, family had always been more important to him. "Is that your partner?" Chili asked. "Yeah. Actually, he worked squad too," Emerson stated, her eyes staying on the picture in her hand as everyone jumped in. "And truck. And he's an unbelievable cook. Mind-blowing. Ambulance 61, man down, unknown causes, 1705 Martin Luther King Drive." "Music choice?" Emerson asked as she buckled up, fingers hovering over the radio as she waited for her partner's response. "Oh, anything's fine, except pop." Emerson's heart dropped slightly as it was exactly what she was about to put on. She smiled, turning towards her as she put the truck in drive. "Why don't you pick it?" "Okay." Chili shrugged, picking the radio station as Emerson drove forward, ready to tackle on yet another call. "Help! Help! Help me, please! Help!" They heard yells as soon as they stepped out of the truck. The two paramedics rushed towards the man who seemed to be hanging upside down on the fence, looking like he might have been impaled. "Okay, no impalement," Chili stated as soon as she stood close enough to observe his injuries. "We should be able to lift him straight up and his foot should come loose." Emerson nodded, getting right to it with her partner. "Help me, please," he yelled as they tried helping him, moving around. "Sir, I need you to be as calm as you can, okay?" Emerson asked the man, since him jiggling around definitely wasn't making it easier on the paramedics. "Okay, call it," Chili called as she bent down to help lift his body up. 1, 2, 3. They lifted him up and got him on the ground right away, the man wailing in pain. "I'm going to set your head down," Chili told him as Emerson ran to the rig to grab everything they needed. "Sir, I'm going to need you to stay with me. We're going to get you to the hospital as soon as we can. Deep breaths. Can you tell me what happened?" "The gate was locked. I jumped the..." He tried explaining, his breathing getting caught off from the pain he was in as Chili started to immobilize his broken leg. "So you jumped the fence?" "Yes." I know. It hurts real bad, and then we're done." As Chili worked on his injuries, Emerson couldn't help but notice blood on his hand, which was definitely not consistent with his story. "Does anything else hurt? Your head or your neck?" "Okay, all right, just the leg." Something didn't feel right to her, so she grabbed a tool and got up. "Be right back," she told Chili, breaking the padlock, keeping the door locked so she could go in. Emerson had a feeling there was more to the call. "Where are you going?" "1 sec." Emerson answered Chili's question vaguely, too focused on getting inside. As soon as she stepped in, she heard someone gasping. Emerson looked around, her eyes immediately falling on a woman resting on her knees as she held herself up with her hands gripping at the wall. "Ma'am, are you having trouble breathing?" she questioned, looking at the panicked woman. "El hombre." Emerson definitely did not understand what the woman said, so she looked around, trying to see if there was something that could help her understand what was happening to the woman. Her eyes fell on a trail of blood leading up to the woman. The paramedic moved to look at her back, noticing injuries that looked like stab wounds. "Oh, my God," she mumbled under her breath, rushing out to get Chili. "Chili, get in here now," Emerson called, getting back inside immediately. Without thinking twice about it, Chili grabbed the jump bag and followed after her partner as the man pleaded for her to stay. "She's been stabbed," Emerson said, raising the woman's shirt to reveal the wounds. "We need to get her into the ambo now." "Ma'am, what happened?" Chili asked, and turns out she did not understand the woman either, shaking her head at Emerson to let her know she had no clue what she said. Luckily for them, Emerson had already put two and two together. That guy robbed her and stabbed her. 61 to Maine, we need a second ambo and police backup now. Chili called to dispatch while Emerson tended to her wounds. Copy that, 61. There's an ambo on the way. The paramedics helped the woman walk out as soon as possible to get her into the ambo. Ugh, bet he caught his leg when he tried to jump the fence, Emerson said, hearing her partner mutter out words of agreement as neither of them even looked at the man on the ground. Once the woman was in the ambulance, the police and ambulance backup arrived. The officers walked up to Emerson asking her what happened. What do we got? Our patient says that this guy robbed and stabbed her. She told them with no remorse whatsoever. After all, the man deserved it. Let's click him up. So, big thank you speech or the best donuts in the city? Chili exclaimed as she showed Emerson the bag of donuts she just bought. Ooh, Emerson exclaimed, looking at her from her seat in the driver's seat of the ambo. Good looking out back there. She reached into the bag and revealed the donut shop she rushed back from. Oh, donut vault. Emerson gasped, grabbing the bag she was offered. Oh my God, I'm a sucker for all Chicago donuts. Thank you. Chili smiled. Of course. They both leaned back in their seats, biting into their donuts. So where'd you learn how to speak Spanish? Oh, I don't speak it actually, Emerson admitted. I just assumed from the blood on his hand and all. Gabby tried to teach me some, but it just won't stick. Chili chuckled. Wow, y'all weren't kidding about the whole family vibe, once you're on the inside anyways. Emerson hummed. Well, what about you? Do you have family in town? My sister Jelly Bean used to live here, but she just took off to Kansas City to live with our older sister. What's her name, Lollipop? Emerson joked, smiling at her partner. Chili laughed. No, it's Margaret. Go figure. Her laughs died down as she continued. So it's just me in Chicago. Well, 51's great. I mean, they'll come around. I practically went through the same thing when I got here, she assured her new partner, knowing damn well what she was talking about. I'll be here when they do. Chili confidently said, smiling at Emerson. In the meantime, Gabby and Kelly teamed up to go take another look at the fire at Billy Carson's house to see if it might have been arson. OFI were obviously looking into it, but intelligence pulled a favor and asked them to check it out anyway. They spoke with a neighbor who brought them very important intel, so they had him talk to Antonio back at the 21st District. He told them about a man wearing scrubs that he saw out on the street. After looking further into it, Sergeant Voigt got a call from Sergeant Benson, who told him the case was very similar to one she worked 10 years back. And so she decided to fly herself to Chicago so she could work the case with them and find the person who did this. Later on, Gabby was trying to reach Billy Carson so she could let him know he was the scored no longer a suspect as CPD cleared him when news about the supposed doctor that was roaming around the building came out. She later got a worrying voicemail from him, which she brought to the chief. He advised her to loop in intelligence so they could ping the phone, which brought them to the call they were on, where Billy Carson stood on the edge of a bridge, ready to jump. Just stay back, the man yelled as the firefighters started approaching him. Stay back, or I'm going to jump. By the time we close the road, get the jump bags out. It's going to be too late if he's serious, Chief stated. Looks pretty serious to me, Chief. If we don't grab him fast, this is going to be over before it starts. Casey answered. Bowden nodded. Kelly, go in from the west side. I'll go in from the east, Matt said, walking to the other side. Emerson stayed back, watching as everyone did the best they could to get him to stay on the right side of the bridge. Turns out, the man only let Gabby approach him and talk him down, which she quickly did by telling him he wasn't the one who caused the fire. Emerson and Chili got the man on their gurney, rolling him away towards the ambulance so he could get checked out at the hospital. Make sure everything was fine. Hi. Emerson heard from behind her as she strolled the hallways later that night, trying to tire herself out. She turned, noticing a woman she'd never seen before. Oh, she exclaimed, catching on. Sergeant Benson, I suppose. Yeah, hi. The sergeant smiled at her, looking around as if to let her know she was looking for something. I'm so sorry to bother you. Emerson Weller, nice to meet you. Emerson offered her hand. You're looking for Chief Bowden's office? Very nice to meet you as well. Benson smiled politely at her. I am looking for him. Yes. I'll bring you to them, she offered, walking in front of her towards the chief's office. Great, thank you. Right in there, she gestured towards the office, smiling at the woman. Would you like me to take your bag? Thank you. The sergeant thanked her, letting her thank them before walking into the office and greeting Voight and Bowden. Emerson walked off, setting the sergeant's bag next to Connie's desk. She knew it was about the fire they had earlier in Billy Carson's house, so she left them to it. The conversation signaled to Sergeant Benson that it truly was the man she thought that did it to the woman. And so Voight took on the case and got straight to work.